Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The chorus of disapproval over the increase in taxes has grown ever so slightly louder. More and more people from within the SNP itself are now calling for it to be scrapped. How can he possibly maintain discipline if his entire party is telling him to not do something and then he goes on and does it? It should be leadership, but with agreement, not a dictatorship. Sturgeon did it. She would say this is the way, and then she would cast that basilisk eye over, and everyone would wither under it. But let's face it, Ali Baba is not cranky. He does not have the authority. He certainly doesn't have the support, and he's only holding on by the very fingertips to power. So we'll take a look at this to see who now is jumping ship and voicing their opposition to what is becoming increasingly an untenable policy, and one that by Tuesday may well have changed because, hey, you know, to have the whole cojones to fight the party is something that he doesn't have. Old Kendall is too smooth at the front for that. Here goes. Right, so it's Ivan McKee. Actually, if I just flick that up, you can see him. There he is. To be fair, we haven't heard a lot from Ivan for a while. He's not obviously a fan, I think you could say. Safe to say, he's not a fan of Humza Yousaf. I believe he refused to sit in the cabinet. I believe he was offered a minor role and he refused. Can't say as I blame him. But he's obviously another one biding his time. We wonder if perhaps with this call, he's giving out a signal to Kate that she may well have a lot more support than perhaps she realises, and this will help push her, and that this very issue of the tax rise, I do think, is the beginning of the end for Ali Baba, and I think Kate will be in there. She will use this as the lever to prize him out of the seat, and I think that a lot of people are looking to her to perhaps try and save the party and certainly save their seats. Those on the back benches are deeply, deeply worried. But we'll have a look at this and to see why Ivan is also coming out against it, and he's not alone. There are others, but it is growing and growing and growing. And as I say, may well be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and old Ali Baba can go off riding on that camel back over across the desert to wherever he wants to go, or needs to be. Humza Yousaf faces growing SNB rebellion over the tax plans as former minister points to lack of first-class services for increased tax. And I've got to say, Ivan is right. I don't like agreeing with the SNP, but sometimes, occasionally, they do something that you have to grudgingly admit is the correct answer. It's not often. We must enjoy it when it happens, and we will. Especially as we know that it's likely to rive the party into two. Which is, again, is good. Former Scottish Government Business Minister Ivan McKee joined the chorus of SNP MSPs who want the First Minister to drop plans to increase income tax for wealthier Scots. Because they will go and the tax base will drop and it's just a pain in the arse. There's more bureaucracy, more costs, won't raise much. There's other things to do, other fish to fry. Ali Baba is facing a growing SNP rebellion over his tax plans as former government minister is the latest to criticise both his income tax hike and the council tax freeze. A complete double whammy from old Ivan McKee there. He pointed out that there were no first-class public services which would prompt Scotland's richest to want to pay more to the public purse. The First Minister is struggling to find consensus for his first budget. That's because it's been rounded up and devised and written by someone with an IQ of 86. It's going to be a hard old slog when you've got a moron writing policy. He could face defeat as he tries to get it passed through Holyrood, which would be humiliating for him. He only needs 6 NAP MSPs to vote against it, and it will fail. Here's the thing. If it fails and he can't get his budget through, he would probably have no option but to resign. Now, if he was in any way decent and honest, he would. Of course, he probably won't because he's neither decent nor honest. But it would mean a massive failure of the government. It could lead to calls from within the party for a hostile election bid rather than him resigning. It could lead to calls for a vote of no confidence in the government and to force an election. Now, that could happen. Of course, the government wouldn't let it happen, and the Greens would definitely side with them to stay in power. They need the money. But it's the fact that it's even being called at all that would cause even more consternation for Alibaba and all his 40 thieves. Already, former leadership contender Kate Forbes has blasted proposals to increase income tax for those earning $75,000, claiming it will lead to an exodus of talent from the country. She isn't alone; others have done that. But I do think that this is more. There is more to that than meets the eye. I think this is the opening salvo in a leadership challenge. I genuinely think this. Michelle Mone said. Michelle Mone's the bra woman. Michelle Thompson. My apologies. Not that Michelle Thompson and Michelle Mone are as bad as each other, really, aren't they? Just one made a lot of money and the other one didn't. Anyway, McKee, who stepped down as business minister when Yousaf took over, yes, because they just don't get on. They're not the best of chums, it must be said, is the latest prominent nat to call on the First Minister to change course and axe his council tax freeze and income tax hike. Writing in the Daily Record, he called for the council tax to be axed and replaced with a progressive property charge. He said that these reforms would be a better way of raising much needed finance for the government public purse, than raiding middle class pockets yet again. And he wrote that the Scottish Government should be taxing wealth and property rather than income. There is an argument against that, because you could have a woman who's lived in a property her whole life, bought and paid for, she owns it, it's gone up over time, it's worth a lot of money, but she has a very little income. She might just be getting by on a tiny little sort of pittance of an income, a state pension and some, little few investments or something, hardly living the grand life, but then being forced into paying a lot of tax for a house that she's lived in her whole life. So there are arguments both ways. So what do you do? That isn't this video. We're not doing that. That'll be a completely different video, and probably one we will have to touch on at some point. But this isn't this video. Anyway, despite his boss pinning his hopes on the council tax freeze to help boost his flailing premiership, flailing, it's dead. He is a dead duck. He's laying there, feet up, head down, drowned, floating down the river, waiting for the falls to be disappeared and never seen again. He's done. He literally is a dead duck. McKee labelled it hugely unfair and called on a new tax which is based on a percentage of a property's value. He's talking about the council tax. He's saying any future action to raise significant additional revenue probably needs to focus on wealth and property rather than income. Here's the great thing. You start property, I'm going to talk about, because if you start saying, wealth, we'll charge you for your wealth, what are the wealthy going to do? They'll go. What will they do with their wealth? They can hide their wealth where you can't find it. Do you know, that's the great thing about offshore accounts. Isle of Man, Liechtenstein, Singapore, Panama. Panama's excellent. Panama's a brilliant place to put it. You can open up a company in Delaware. You don't even have to be registered down as a director or shareholder. It's held in like a holding pattern, really. And as long as you are not a resident of the United States, you don't pay tax on that company. You put your money in there. You throw the bank account out into Panama. Whatever wealth you generate in Panama by using stock markets or things like that gets paid back into that bank account, which is registered to a company in Delaware. And therefore, you as a British citizen, you're not paying a single penny in tax on it. And all you need to do is get a credit card that's linked to the bank account, and then you just spend your money like you will, and then it just automatically pays the credit card at the end of the month. Job's a good one. There you go. No tax whatsoever. No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee. But also, no wealth tax, and that's the big thing. It's easily done. Giving away the secrets here, aren't they? There's another public service announcement. Anyway, everyone knows that council tax is hugely unfair, with those in the most expensive properties paying a far smaller percentage of its value than those in lower cost houses. Yes, but at the end of the day, you're paying council tax for services, and it doesn't matter how big your house is if you're still only getting your bins emptied once a week, for example. Why should you pay more because your house is bigger if you're not getting, for more money, you should be getting more services? How about doing away with council tax? I agree. And doing away with values and things, and just simply saying to everyone, this is how much it costs for this service. Now, if you have a house that has one bin collection a week, we'll charge you £1 a week for your bin collection. If you need 2 bins, fine, you need 2 bins, you're a bigger house. But we'll charge you £2 a week. And you charge £1 a week for each bin. That's what you do in the real world when you want something, isn't it? And of course you say, right, that's fine. Let's do this. Let's do it by income. And that way what you earn, you pay, not on the number of people in the house or the size of the house. Sure, make it an admixture, but that's where your rateable values are in. But there's got to be an absolute maximum. Otherwise, what's the point? People will just sell up and go, and you're not going to get any income whatsoever. You make it too hard and too harsh because you think you're trying to encourage people to pay more into the system so that you can waste it on whatever you like. The people will just go. And that's what happens. We see it time and time again. And I keep using the Norway model. Norway brought in this massive taxation rise, and within 72 hours, every single billionaire in Norway had gone. And the tax base collapsed overnight. Because idiots. Anyway, he also criticised previous income tax increase from 45 to 47% for those earning over 125,000 because it only raised a paltry amount, and yet because it was only raising that amount, tiny amount raised because so few people are on that level, but it then disincentivised income, investment in people. Why would I come to Scotland and invest if they're going to tax me higher than if I go south of the border? I mean, it doesn't sound much to you, but it's 2% to me. And so the investment goes south of the border because nobody wants to do it. If you tax high, you disincentivise investment. People who have studied economics know this. Morons who never have and who get elected, they don't understand, and that's what's the problem. So Ivan McKee's got it. He's nailed the problem in one. And of course, yeah, there we go. So just to round this off, it says there, when they increased the rate to 47 pence for that value over 125,000 a year, it raised £3 million. There you go. You could save 3 million and not do that and encourage investment easier than doing that. It's just stupid. But then it is the SNP we're dealing with. Stupid is natural. There he is, stupid. Mr. Stupid, Mr. Thickety thick, isn't it? The thickest man. Mind you, he's the stupidest man, and he's Shona Robertson, the stupidest woman. It's a marriage made in heaven, isn't it? It's just a pity that it's the people who have to pay for it. Never mind, coming up. Well, that went on a bit longer than I intended, but we won't drag it out anymore. I'll just say that they're both stupid. Ivan McKee is right. Kate Forbes is right. I'm right. You're right. Everybody's right. Except, of course, for Alibaba and 86. They're not right. I'll stop. Thank you very much for watching. Do please watch the next video. It's the last one of the day. Let's want to round off if you've been following all day. Do please hit the subscribe button. We are going to get close to 9,000 for Christmas. That would be amazing. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.